I am his maid. But the way he looks at me tells a completely different story. It is a look that sends a shiver down my spine, a mix of fear and confusion that I have to hide behind a polite smile every single day. My name is Rosa, and for the last 6 months, I have worked in the Blackwood Mansion, a massive, beautiful house that feels more like a golden cage than a home. The house is located on top of a hill, overlooking the city. It is the kind of place where the driveway is long and lined with perfectly cut trees, and the silence is so heavy that you can hear your own footsteps echoing in the hallways. When I first got this job, I was thrilled. The salary was twice what I earned at my previous job, and I desperately needed the money. I am saving for nursing school. Every dollar I earn goes into a small savings account that represents my future, my dream of helping people instead of cleaning up after them. But lately, the cost of working here has become much higher than I expected. It started slowly, almost noticeably. Mr. Blackwood Julian, as he told me to call him, though I never do, is a handsome man in his 40s. He has graying hair and sharp blue eyes that seem to analyze everything they touch. At first, I thought he was just being kind. He would ask me about my day, or compliment the way I arranged the flowers in the hallway. "You have a good eye for beauty, Rosa," he said one morning, watching me from the doorway of the living room. I was polishing the mahogany table, and I remember freezing for a second. "Thank you, sir," I replied, keeping my eyes on the wood. "I just try to keep things tidy." "It's more than tidy," he said, taking a step closer. "You bring a certain warmth to this cold house. My wife, she doesn't care about these details, but you do." I didn't know how to respond to that. His wife, Elena, was a quiet, sad woman who spent most of her time in her bedroom or at charity luncheons. She wasn't cold, she was just distant, like she was fading away in the background of her own life. I felt uncomfortable that he was comparing us. "Mrs. Blackwood is very busy," I said softly, finally looking up. He smiled, but it wasn't a warm smile. It was a smile that made me feel like he knew a secret I didn't. "Busy," he repeated, almost mocking the word. "Yes, everyone is busy. But you, Rosa, you are always here." That was the beginning. Over the next few weeks, he started finding reasons to be home when he should have been at his office. Usually, wealthy men like him are gone from early morning until late at night. But Julian began coming home for lunch. He would sit at the long dining table, alone, and ask me to serve him coffee, even though he could easily pour it himself. One rainy Tuesday, the atmosphere in the house shifted permanently. It was pouring outside, a heavy storm that battered the windows and made the large house feel dark and isolated. Alina was out visiting her mother, so it was just the cook, Maria, and me. But Maria was in the kitchen in the basement, preparing dinner, which meant I was essentially alone on the main floor. I was in the library, dusting the endless rows of books, I loved the library. It smelled of old paper and leather, a smell that comforted me. I was standing on a small step stool, trying to reach a shelf near the ceiling, when the door creaked open. I turned around, expecting to see Maria, but it was him. Julian. He was wearing a dark suit, his tie loosened, as if he had had a long, tiring day. He leaned against the doorframe, watching me. "I didn't know you were home, sir," I said, quickly stepping down from the stool. My heart started beating a little faster. There was something intense about his presence today. "I canceled my meetings," he said, walking slowly into the room. I couldn't focus. I kept thinking about home. "Is everything all right?" I asked, gripping the feather duster tightly in my hands. "I'm not sure," he murmured. He walked past me, close enough that I could smell his cologne, something expensive, like cedarwood and spices. He stopped at the window, looking out at the rain. "Do you ever feel like you are living a life that doesn't belong to you, Rosa?" I hesitated. It was a deep question, too personal for an employer to ask his maid. But I wanted to be polite. "I think everyone feels that way sometimes, sir. But I am working hard to build the life I want." He turned around and looked at me. "Nursing school, right?" I was surprised. I hadn't told him that. I had only mentioned it to Maria in the kitchen. "How did you know?" "I pay attention, Rosa," he said softly. "I know you work hard. I know you take the bus for 40 minutes to get here. I know you send money to your parents. You are a good woman." "Thank you," I whispered. "You deserve better than this," he said, gesturing around the room. But his hand seemed to point at my uniform, my apron, my position. "You shouldn't be scrubbing floors. You are too smart for that. Too beautiful." The word hung in the air. Beautiful. My stomach tightened. This was the line. He had just crossed it. An employer can call an employee hardworking, efficient, or even pleasant. But beautiful, that changes everything. "I take pride in my work, Mr. Blackwood," I said, my voice shaking slightly. "And this job helps me pay for my education. I am grateful for it." He stepped closer, closing the gap between us. I instinctively took a step back, bumping into the ladder behind me. "But what if you didn't have to struggle?" he asked, his voice lowering to a smooth, persuasive tone. "What if someone wanted to help you? To make your life easier?" "I prefer to help myself," I said, trying to sound confident, though my knees were trembling. He laughed softly, a low sound in his throat. "Independent. I like that. But everyone needs a patron, Rosa. Everyone needs a stepping stone." He reached out, and for a horrifying second, I thought he was going to touch my face. Instead, he picked up a stray piece of lint from my shoulder. His fingers lingered on the fabric of my uniform for just a second too long. "Think about it." He turned and walked out of the library, leaving me standing there, breathless and terrified. I should have quit right then. I know that now. If I were telling this story to a friend, I would scream at her to leave. Run, get out of there. But real life is complicated. I had bills, My tuition payment was due in 3 weeks. If I quit without notice, I wouldn't get a reference, and I might lose my wages. I convinced myself that I could handle it. I told myself, he didn't actually do anything. He just talked. I can ignore it. So I stayed, and that was my mistake. The following week was torture. Every time I entered a room, I checked to make sure he wasn't there. I started cleaning the bedrooms only when I knew for a fact he was at the office. I tried to make myself invisible. I wore my hair in a tight, severe bun. I didn't wear any makeup. I kept my eyes on the floor. But it didn't matter. He was watching. I could feel his eyes on me when I served dinner. Alina would be sitting at the other end of the table, talking about her garden club or a gallery opening, completely unaware of the tension in the air. Julian would nod at her, pretending to listen, but his eyes would follow me as I moved around the table, pouring water, clearing plates. One evening, while I was clearing the dessert dishes, Alina dropped her napkin. As I bent down to pick it up, Julian also reached down. His hand brushed against mine. It wasn't an accident. He grabbed my hand, squeezing it firmly under the table where his wife couldn't see. I gasped and yanked my hand away, standing up quickly. The water pitcher on the tray rattled dangerously. "Rosa," Alina looked at me, confused. "Is everything all right?" I was breathing hard, my face burning with shame and anger. I'm sorry, ma'am. I felt dizzy for a moment. "Oh, dear," Alina said kindly. "Maybe you should go rest. Maria can finish up." "Thank you, ma'am," I stammered. I didn't look at Julian, but I could feel his smirk. He was enjoying this. He enjoyed the power he had over me, the secret game he was playing right in front of his wife. I ran to the kitchen, my heart pounding against my ribs like a trapped bird. Maria was there, washing pots. She looked at my pale face and wiped her hands on her apron. "What happened?" she asked, her voice low. "I can't do this, Maria," I whispered, tears stinging my eyes. He touched my hand. Maria didn't look surprised. That was the saddest part. She sighed and shook her head. Men like him, they think they own the world. They think because they pay for your time, they own you. "I have to leave," I said. "And go where?" Maria asked practically. "Do you have another job lined up? You have rent to pay next week, Rosa." She was right. The reality of poverty is a heavy chain. It keeps you in places you hate, around people you fear, just to survive. "I'll stay until the end of the month," I decided, wiping my eyes. "Just 2 more weeks. I'll get my paycheck, and then I'll never come back." But Julian wasn't planning to wait 2 weeks. 2 days later, on a Thursday, Alina went to a spa weekend with her friends. The house felt massive and empty. Maria had gone to the market to buy groceries for the weekend, leaving me alone in the house for an hour or 2. I was in the master bedroom, changing the sheets. I hated being in this room. It felt too intimate. I worked quickly, stripping the bed and tossing the linens into the laundry basket. I wanted to be done and downstairs before Julian came home. Suddenly, the door clicked shut behind me. I spun around. Julian was standing there. He had come home early again, but this time, the look on his face was different. There was no playfulness, no subtle hints. There was only determination. "Sir, you're back early," I said, grabbing the laundry basket like a shield. I was just finishing. "Put the basket down, Rosa," he said calmly. "I need to take these to the laundry room," I said, taking a step toward the door. He blocked my path. I said, "Put it down." My hands were shaking, but I didn't drop the basket. "Please let me pass, Mr. Blackwood." "Why are you so afraid of me?" he asked, walking closer. "Have I been unkind? I offered to help you. I offered to change your life." "I don't want your help," I said, my voice stronger than I expected. "I just want to do my job." "Your job?" he scoffed. "You scrub toilets. You pick up dirty socks. Is that really what you want? I can give you an apartment in the city. I can pay for your nursing school. You wouldn't have to work a day in your life. All you have to do is be nice to me." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. He opened it to reveal a diamond bracelet. It glittered in the afternoon sunlight, cold and expensive. "For you," he said. I looked at the bracelet, and then I looked at him. I felt a wave of nausea. He really thought he could buy me. He thought that because I was poor, I had no price that was too high. He thought my dignity was for sale. "I can't take that," I said, "and I won't." "Don't be stupid," he snapped, his patience wearing thin. "Do you know how much this is worth? It's more than you make in a year. Take it." "No." "Take it." He grabbed my arm, his fingers digging into my skin. Panic exploded in my chest. I dropped the laundry basket. "Let me go," I shouted. "Stop fighting me," he hissed, pulling me closer. "My wife isn't here. No one is here. Stop pretending you don't want this." "I don't want you," I yelled, struggling against his grip. "I am not your toy. I am not your property." I stomped on his foot as hard as I could. He grunted in pain and loosened his grip just enough for me to pull away. I didn't wait. I ran. I ran out of the bedroom, down the long hallway, my footsteps thundering on the hardwood floor. I could hear him calling my name, angry and commanding, but I didn't stop. I flew down the stairs, almost tripping over my own feet. I reached the front door, my hands trembling so badly I could barely unlock it. Finally, the lock clicked, and I burst out into the fresh air. I didn't stop at the driveway. I ran all the way down the hill, my uniform fluttering in the wind, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I didn't stop until I reached the bus stop at the bottom of the hill, where I collapsed onto the bench, shaking uncontrollably. I sat there for a long time, waiting for my heart to slow down. I realized I had left my purse behind. My phone, my keys, my bus pass, everything was in the kitchen. But I couldn't go back. I would rather walk 10 miles home than step foot in that house again. As I sat there, a car slowed down in front of me. I flinched, terrified it was him. But it wasn't. It was a taxi. The driver rolled down the window. "Miss, are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." I looked at him, tears streaming down my face. I don't have any money," I choked out. The driver, an older man with kind eyes, looked at my maid's uniform and my terrified face. He unlocked the door. "Get in. I'll take you home. Don't worry about the money." I climbed into the back seat and curled into a ball. As we drove away from the wealthy neighborhood, watching the mansions disappear in the rearview mirror, I started to cry. Not out of fear, but out of relief. And then anger. I was angry that he had made me run. I was angry that I had to leave my things. I was angry that men like him think they can take whatever they want just because they have money. But as the city skyline came into view, a new feeling settled over me. Pride. He tried to buy me. He tried to intimidate me. He thought that because I was his maid, I was beneath him. But I had said no. I had looked him in the eye and rejected him. He had the money, the house, and the power, but in that moment, he couldn't have me. The next day, I didn't go back. I sent Maria a text message from my neighbor's phone, explaining that I wasn't coming back and asking her to please meet me with my purse. Maria met me at a coffee shop downtown 2 days later. She handed me my bag. "He's furious," Maria told me, sipping her tea. "He told his wife you stole something and ran away." I laughed bitterly. "Of course he did. He has to protect his reputation." "Alina believes him," Maria said sadly. "She thinks you are a thief." "Let them think what they want," I said, clutching my bag. "I know the truth." And deep down, he knows the truth. He knows that a maid defeated him. "What will you do now?" Maria asked. "I found a job at a diner," I said. "It pays less, and the hours are longer. But the owner is a woman, and she treats me with respect. It will take me a little longer to save for nursing school, but I will get there." Maria reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "I'm proud of you, Rosa." "I'm proud of me too," I said. "That was 2 years ago. Today, I am no longer a maid. I am a student. I spend my days in a hospital, learning how to heal people, how to care for them when they are vulnerable. It is hard work, and I am often tired, but it is a different kind of tired. It is a satisfying tired. Sometimes, when I am walking through the city, I see a sleek black car that looks like his. For a moment, my heart jumps, and I feel that old fear. But then I remember that rainy afternoon in the library, and the moment in the bedroom when I chose myself over his money. I remember that I am not an object. I am not a possession. I learned a valuable lesson in that mansion. I learned that dignity is expensive. Sometimes it costs you a job. Sometimes it costs you your safety for a moment. But it is the one thing you cannot afford to sell. He was rich, He was powerful, he wanted me. But in the end, the only thing that mattered was that I owned myself. And that was something he could never buy. I often think about the title of the chapter of my life that I wrote in that house. If I had to name it, I would call it The Price of Freedom. Because freedom isn't free. You have to fight for it. You have to say no when it is easier to say yes. You have to walk away from the gold if it means wearing chains. Now, when I wear my nursing scrubs, I feel like I am wearing armor. I am strong. I am capable. And most importantly, I am free. One evening, recently, I saw an article in the newspaper. It was about the Blackwood family. Apparently, Alina had filed for divorce. The article talked about irreconcilable differences. I stared at the photo of Julian. He looked older, tired, and unhappy. Even with all his millions, he looked empty. I put the newspaper down and smiled. I finished my coffee, picked up my nursing books, and walked out into the bright, beautiful world. My world. I realized then that while I was cleaning his house, I was actually building my character. I was scrubbing away my naivety and polishing my self-respect. He thought he was the main character of the story, the powerful man who gets the girl. But he was wrong. He was just a villain in my origin story. I am Rosa, and I am the hero of my own life. If you are listening to this, and you feel like someone has power over you, whether it is a boss, a partner, or a friend, remember this. Your value does not come from what you can give to them. It comes from what you keep for yourself. Never let anyone make you feel small in a room you helped to clean. Never let anyone treat you like an option when you know you are a priority. It has been a long journey from that fearful maid to the woman I am today. But I am grateful for every step, even the scary ones, because they led me here, to a place where I can speak, where I can dream, and where I can say, with absolute certainty, he couldn't have me. And because of that, I have myself.